everyone! Today I want to talk to you about something that I have personally been really struggling with for quite some time now. It's not something that is unique to me at all. In fact, most of us have probably experienced this at some point in our lives. I want to talk about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is a term used to describe the feeling of self-doubt or the sensation that you don't belong that we sometimes get quite often when we're at work or if we are in a situation where we're surrounded by people we perceive to be more experienced or more talented than we are. Those nagging feelings of personal incompetence might be completely unjustified, but they can be hugely overwhelming. Even if, like I said, in reality, you might be just as qualified as the people around you, or just as accomplished or talented, but in different ways. And the trouble is, those feelings are not exactly pleasant ones, and so we start doing things to try to push those feelings away or to make ourselves feel more worthy. So if you're at work and you're thinking, I am an imposter, I am a fraud, I should not be here, I'm not as good as any of the other people around me, you might start doing things like working much later than everybody else, or trying to do more than everyone else, or holding yourself to a much higher standard than you hold everyone else around you. All of which means that your mental health starts to massively suffer, and eventually you might even completely burn yourself out. I know I only did 1,000 words for that blog I wrote yesterday, and I don't think I put enough SEO keywords in there because it's just not generating enough traffic to the website, and I probably should have made it 2,000 words and really tried to put more keywords in there, and I'm not doing enough. When you're dealing with imposter syndrome, it can be really difficult to take on board any praise, which is kind of ironic because when you're in the situation of thinking, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve to be here, you kind of want to hear someone saying, yeah you are, and yeah you do, but you're not going to believe them because imposter syndrome makes you do as though you're a massive fraud and you are just 1 millisecond away from everyone around you finding out. I really liked that animation you did the other day. Oh, thank you. It wasn't very good, really. There were loads of mistakes in it. I should have done a much better job. I thought it was really good. I mean, I couldn't do that. You absolutely could have done it. Like literally anyone could do it, and literally anyone could do it better than I do. I don't think that's true, is it? Oh my god, she thinks I'm talking rubbish. She must think I'm thick. People can find that imposter syndrome manifests itself in loads of different ways. Like I said, this is something I am hugely struggling with at the moment. And for me, it manifests in the sense that I become a ridiculous perfectionist. And since perfection doesn't really exist, as we all know, I hope you know that, right? You know that. We all know that. It means that I am constantly trying to reach for a standard that is absolutely unachievable. And then, of course, because I don't reach that unachievable standard, I start beating myself up for it. It's just, a really fun, vicious circle. And send. That social media post I spent ages creating for the business has just gone live. It's been at least 5 seconds. Why hasn't it gone viral? I must suck at my job. But other people may find that imposter syndrome manifests in other ways. For example, for some people, it's about how they succeed in new challenges. If you're someone who was a really quick learner at school and you've always picked up new skills really easily, if you then struggle to do something for the very first time, instead of thinking, oh, okay, well, rationally, I can't be brilliant at everything immediately, you might start thinking instead, oh, I'm obviously a failure. And all those other times in the past where I was instantly good at stuff, that was just dumb luck. And now my luck has run out. And then there are the people who become absolutely convinced that the only way they can prove that they are good enough is if they try to do absolutely everything entirely on their own.
Do you want some help pushing that piano down the stairs?
No, I can do it myself. It's going to be absolutely fine. See ya. There are also people who find that imposter syndrome means that they feel they can't accept any praise unless they are at the absolute top level of every area of their life. They have to be doing brilliantly at work and at home and everywhere else in between, otherwise they're not good enough. And if that sounds exhausting, it's because it is. Imposter syndrome, however it manifests in a person, is absolutely draining. There is very good reason that it's linked to things like depression and anxiety. You imagine constantly living with a voice in your head that says, "You don't deserve to be here, you're not good enough." It's going to absolutely ruin your self-esteem. Like I said, this is something I've had a real struggle with for quite a few weeks now. I mean, I know where it comes from with me. It's nothing from my childhood. I don't need to lie on a couch and, bare my soul. It's basically the simple fact that I worked in childcare for nearly 20 years. And I was fairly good at it. The children really liked me, their parents liked me, I seemed to do well in my job. And when I left that and started doing something else in which I had no formal qualifications and only a little bit of voluntary experience, I instantly went from feeling like, a middle-sized fish in a pond I was hugely familiar with to being the teensiest, tiniest fish in the most massive pond full of bigger fish, and wondering what on earth gave me the right to be there. Fundamentally, imposter syndrome is about feeling like a fraud and not having the evidence to back it up. And that's the crucial thing to remember, because usually there is evidence to prove that you're wrong. Now, I'm someone who enjoys being right, but when I say, I don't deserve to be doing this job, I suck at it, I'm terrible, I'm gonna lose us loads of money and we'll probably end up destitute and it's all my fault, I like to, occasionally be reminded of the fact that I'm not necessarily right. In fact, I'd say it's a downright relief. Because whilst I've said that you don't necessarily believe praise that you're given if you have imposter syndrome, it is really important to have somebody with you in your life that will be honest with you and who will point to the evidence that proves that you're wrong. So looking for the evidence that proves you're wrong is really important, as is being honest about how you're feeling. Because for all you know, if you open up and say, I'm feeling like a total fraud, like I don't know what I'm doing and maybe I shouldn't be here, you never know who around you might go, we all feel like that from time to time. And it might make you feel a little bit better to know that you are not the only person having that internal battle. Knowing what works for you to bring you out of that state is also really important. For me, I know that I must not compare myself to others. Trust me, that way madness does lie. I am my own absolute worst critic, so if I look at someone else who is the same age as me, working in a similar field as me, and they seem to be doing a lot better, I'm gonna be really mean to myself as a result. Why aren't you that person? Why aren't you doing better? So yeah, I have to tell myself quite often, stop comparing yourself to other people. Truthfully, no one is perfect. Again, perfection doesn't exist. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. Everybody tries a new thing every now and then and doesn't just instantly find that they're brilliant at it. There's always going to be someone out there thinking, oh, I'm not very good at this. You are not the only person thinking that. And with that in mind, I would just say the most important way of dealing with imposter syndrome is to be kind to ourselves and remember that we aren't on our own in the way that we feel. So just keep telling yourself that you have every right to be where you are just as good as everybody else around you, and you know what? If there are people around you who are genuinely better at stuff than you, use it to inspire you rather than letting it be a stick that you beat yourself round the head with. I think we've gathered from this last little summing up bit that I'm basically making this video instead of standing in front of the mirror and having a really serious word with myself. Might still do that later. Do you ever suffer with imposter syndrome? If you have or you do right now, how do you deal with it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. That will make me feel better about myself. You can click on my floaty head if you'd like to subscribe, and last week's video is over there. I'm gonna go and, keep having a word with myself. I'll talk to you all next week. Take care. Bye.